heard Tom say this too in the last week with Jeff a couple different times, how much he likes what he hears from Thomas Brown. And then so far the execution of that plan, like he's heard it and now he's seen it and now we've got to see it continue. But Tom, I was driving home and I was really struck by how much belief and how much you seem to enjoy hearing what Thomas Brown has to say and the message that he's delivering to the players.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing because he fires off the seat of his pants. He's not sitting there saying, all right, everybody give me the questions so I can sit there and think about them and prepare a response to them. He is answering these questions inside of this presser format where he's answering as honestly as he possibly can. And so to me, it's kind of refreshing that it's not something that he has to be pre-prepared for or coached on how to say something. And to me, it kind of sounds like a guy that understands the improvements that need to be made, the contributions from the other coaches, the commitments from the players, and how the big picture could look if everybody has an all-in attitude. So I'm excited to see how it affects the Minnesota game because the Minnesota defense is a completely different defense than Green Bay was. And now you have a little bit of time to understand what your guys are capable of. And Minnesota has a very little chance to analytically get ready for the way Thomas Brown calls a game.
Tom, what about what you saw on Sunday did you appreciate most in terms of the execution from the offense?
Tempo, timing, Caleb's decision-making process when he's getting rid of the ball and some short, accurate passes and allow the playmakers to kind of convert for extra yards after catch. When he determined that there wasn't an open opportunity from the time he got to his final drop step, the next best opportunity for him was to run the ball, and that's exactly what he did. He didn't put any kind of unfair accomplishments on his offensive line, thinking that they could hold protection for 3.5 seconds or more. And when he goes out and runs the ball, now it puts a little bit more concern in the defense that's on the field you're playing, the defenses of the future. Do you think about, I got to take one guy off the line of scrimmage and keep him as a spy, or I have the luxury of rushing and seeing if I can outnumber the amount of blockers they have?
I was going to ask you, Tom, as a former offensive lineman, you had to appreciate how the way that Caleb played helped his O-line.
Oh, no kidding, T. Waddle. And that's what's exciting going forward. However, if you can get into the huddle and you can make the huddle call and you can get to the line of scrimmage and you can keep that tempo, and then you have everybody only identify your job. Don't sit there and try to, I'm going to think with peripheral vision, or I think I can help out here and still get my assignment done. Only do your assignment. And then that way, then Caleb is going to know either the vulnerability to the protection that he's calling, or he can understand where an extra rusher could possibly come from and then how to take advantage of it. Because, as a defensive coordinator, if they construct the pressure they're going to bring, they understand where the possible hot read could be. So they're taking things into account as well as you're trying to, take things into account as well.
Are you surprised that the offensive coordinator change seems to have revitalized the effort level so much so?
No, because I think if you believe what you're hearing in meetings, and these guys are smart enough now, and they've been around this playbook long enough, and they've been inside the terminology. If they think there's some kind of unrealistic plays that are being presented to them for the game plan of the next week, maybe they don't have a great deal of confidence in it. But the combination of the way Thomas Brown is presenting it to the players and then what they're hearing and what they're seeing, they understand that it's an accomplishable game plan. And if you put Caleb in the most confident position that he can possibly be in, I think you're going to increase his effectiveness moving forward. And you're probably excited about what you can do on Sunday.
Staying with the offensive line theme here, Tom. I know that what Brian Flores does will challenge an offense or will challenge a quarterback. How does what he does with different looks and 5-man fronts and 6-man fronts, how big a burden is that on the offensive line as well, not just the quarterback?
You know, T, it's not a burden. It's like I said, just understand what your assignment is according to the protection called out of the huddle. And make sure that you're not trying to do something unrealistic or trying to do too much. If there's a protection called, you have a specific area of responsibility. And if there's a guy in a stance in front of you on the line of scrimmage, that's most likely your responsibility. Now you have to kind of figure out that second level of rushers and their response, or how they fit in toward your responsibilities. If they're coming from the second level, most of the time they're the responsibility of a quarterback or a running back. If they're coming from the line of scrimmage, then they're going to most likely be responsibility of the offensive line, tight ends, and running back inside the direction of the protection. So just understand what your responsibility is and fulfill your job.
If I know you, it's tough to get over a loss like that, especially to the Packers. You're sick of losing to the Packers. Did it take you a while to get over it, or did you feel better? I'm not saying that this should be like, oh, well, we didn't win, but we should feel good about ourselves. Here's a juice box and an orange slice. But because like there were positive vibes, was it a shorter turnaround for you to get over this loss?
You know, Silvy, that's a really great question, because at the point where they were lining up for the field goal, and I had a lot of confidence in Kairos, but with the parabolic mic, I heard the fingertips hit the football. Ooh. And it kind of deflated all of my excitement in an instant. Like if I was a balloon that just got popped and it shattered, not just something air being leaked out of it. And so that's how I felt when I heard the hand hit the football, because I knew that it was, and I said during it while Jeff was describing it, it's been blocked, it's been touched. And then the frustration set in, and it was, it was so overwhelmingly disappointed that I've spent a week in kind of isolation because I've been so disappointed because of it.
Have you ever let a swear slip out in a moment like that? You've been doing this a really long time. Have you ever made a mistake like that?
Almost once.
Almost?
Almost once, and because I kind of forgot where I was, and I was at the point of ultimate disappointment. But luckily I caught myself and realized that I still had an open mic in front of my face.
Yeah, you're a pro. Hey, on the other side of the ball, this defensive front has really not created a ton of pressure. They really haven't created any pressure. How do you get Sam Darnold off his spot if it's just not winning your one-on-one battles?
I think I would have to think of some exotic lineups. I think Kevin Byard has shown that he could be a reliable blitzer. I still have to incorporate Kyler Gordon. If Jack Sanborn is in there, he's a reliable blitzer as well. I need to get pressure from the exterior rushers, and maybe I include Daniel Hardy and give him a rush or two to see if he can do what he did in the preseason. But I need my interior defensive linemen to stop the run in the early downs, because with Andrew Billings out of the lineup, we've lost that 330-pounder, and now we're relying on the rest of the crew of guys that have taken over. So they need to get Darnold into that second and length and third and length type of passes, so you can provide a little bit of extra pressure maybe from that second level, similar to what Minnesota does. And I'm not going to play vanilla defense against them, because I think the more pressure that you put on him mentally, it takes a toll on him physically.
Meller, can we play the highlight from Thayer from and Tom, don't worry, I'm not playing the two-hand.
No, I was listening to you, Joniak, and
oh yeah, can we play? I want your reaction, because I think this is the essence of you, where we get this raw emotion, and I've told you this many times that I love this from you, and I think Bears fans love this. And tell me what you were thinking at the time. Meller, have it roll.
Snap to Caleb Williams, looking to throw to the near side. It's got DJ Moore. He's cornered, so he decides just to put his head down. And Packers
what are you doing?
To the chalk, and Tom wants a flag, as does everybody in this building.
Right, but DJ Moore was already out of bounds, forward stop motion, out of bounds with three Packers on him, and then a fourth guy came in and hit him. It's ridiculous.
I was expecting a swear.
But do you know why that's brilliant, though, too? Because he gave us the raw motion, and 5 seconds later, he described exactly what happened in detail.
This is what aggravates me about the Green Bay Packers, and I kind of like it and I hate it all at the same time. They play the entire width of the field. So if there's a guy that's kind of lumbering out of bounds because he knows he's going to go out of bounds, the Packers will come up and they will hit you. And it's not a comfort hit. It's a delivery of force. And when I see him do that, I want the Bears to do that. I want the Bears to do it to every single team they play. It used to aggravate me back in the day when Brett Favre would throw a pitch and then he would lead the blocking on a reverse. If I saw that, I would tell my defenders, I want you to go up and hit Brett Favre in the face as hard as you possibly can. Because as soon as he turns into a lead blocker, I want you to have him live with regret. And that's the same thing as when the Packers hit somebody as they're going out of bounds, and it's a legal hit. But it's frustrating because I'm on the other side, the opposite color jerseys, and it was frustrating at that one as well when they did it on that play.
Tom, last time we saw this team experience an excruciating last-second loss, they really didn't come out and play the next 2 weeks. Do you expect a different response from this team after another heartbreaking loss in the last second of the game?
I do. I think a lot of it because it's a division game. A lot of it that it's at home. Thomas Brown, I think, has instilled a certain sense of confidence in this whole offensive room, including Caleb Mosley. So I do think there's a certain level of excitement that the Bears are going to come out and play with. I think the weather and the conditions are going to be perfect for a late division outdoor game. And so I'm expecting and hoping for the best out of the Bears this week.
Did you see last night's game?
I was going to ask him the same.
How do you feel about being out there in the cold weather and the snow?
There's a lot of things, a lot of different ways that you can blame the conditions if you play crappy, if you lose the game. Just like Pickens did at the end of the game when he was blaming the conditions rather than, excited about a guy like Myles Garrett get 3 sacks in the first half. Some of the big plays that Jameis Winston made, that tight end that made that huge 2-point conversion catch. All those types of things that, that was, T. Waddle, that was the one thing that made Ditka more mad than anything, is blaming your performance on the conditions. And that would just rile him up to unbelievable depths when he was running the projector.
Times are different, I get it, but Coach Ditka I don't know, he'd flip out every day at practice if he was coaching in today's world. Don't you believe, Tom? A lot of the stuff that it goes on now, he would not tolerate.
I remember walking behind him when he was having a presser after a training camp practice, and he saw me walking behind it, and he looks and he goes, yeah, there, look at Thayer. He gave up 2 sacks today in practice and probably could have gave up 4.
Unbelievable.
And so I'm walking by, and it's one of our days off, one of our few days. And so I spent that whole day off thinking, I bet you I'm cut when I get back to Platteville. And, it was frustrating, but, he kept you on the toes that way.
Yes, he did.
Tom, great stuff. We will see you on Sunday.
Thanks, Tom.